All right, everyone. Good afternoon. It is Monday in Kitsap County. It is June 6th, 65 degrees. It's a beautiful day. Glad that you can all join us. Today, we have a very special guest that we are going to have a conversation with. And that is Anthony Ives. He is the newest executive director for Kitsap Community Resources. And so we're honored to have him in here today. So let's go ahead and bring him on up, see how he's doing.
Hey,
Hey there,
Marwan.
how are you doing today?
I'm good. And Marwan, I appreciate you being here. Thanks for giving me 6 months to get on my feet. You're literally one of the first persons I met here in the county. So I appreciate your patience and time with me. So there, it's an honor
Absolutely.
and pleasure to be here.
Well, I'm patient, but I'm also persistent. So, uh, but no, I appreciate it. And I was just telling Deborah actually that you reached out to me and it was like, okay, I'm ready now. Saw you at Ramadan. It's like, hey, you ready? Ready, Anthony? He's like, no, not today, not today. But I didn't know you were gonna be there. You didn't know I was gonna be there. So I was like, you can come on right now. I got a camera every time and everywhere I'm at. So no, I appreciate you. So anyway, you are Anthony Ives. You are the newest executive director for Kitsap Community Resources. And for those of you that out there that don't know Anthony, you haven't had a chance to meet him, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
First of all, only my mom calls me Anthony. Okay. So let's be clear about that. So it's Tony, Tonio, Tonito, whatever language you want to use. Okay. So, so we're an immigrant family. Well, my dad's side is from New Orleans, and that's a story in itself. And my mom's family came through Angel Island in San Francisco in 1918, and we recently dug up the immigration paperwork for that, and it's been pretty cool seeing that. I've never seen anything like that before, so personal. Um, but I'm essentially used to be an East Coast guy. Half my family are still there. My mom took us out on the road during the civil rights movement. Went to Resurrection City, where me and my brothers and sisters lived for 3 months on the Washington Mall. And the Poor People's
Oh,
March. It was a memory. I have pictures of that. Went to Oklahoma, where my stepdad we were in the Nation of Islam for for a while until I moved here to Port Orchard. Went to Marcus Whitman, South Kitsap, graduated, went to Western for a while before moving down to California. So, finished my undergrad down there and started working for the treasurer's office in the city of Sacramento, and that was great. Took me on a trajectory of asset management for the state of California. Not a lot of blacks, well, even still, that are part of that, and it was a learning, great experience. And after that, I decided to take a different path and join the Peace Corps. Marwan, I think I told you after 9/11, joined the Peace Corps, and they sent me to Honduras, to a black community, actually, the black region of northern Honduras along the coast, are former slaves from Roatan, Guatemala, all the way down, and the North Coast was a perfect fit for me because that's where I discovered that that's where my family came from, was the grief and origins in the islands. So
really?
yeah, it was a really weird thing having that discovery. It was St. Vincent, and that's where my great grandfather immigrated through from St. Vincent to Panama to San Francisco. So it was kind of uh, a weird trajectory to be there. So instead of coming back to the States after my service, I stayed and started a regional project that dealt with education and economic development, primarily in grief in the communities, and everything focused around education and job development, with the women being the focus because they were the center of the community. They typically are, even here. So finally, back back in the United States in 2011. I ran a company out of Bogota, Colombia. We were based out of San Francisco, and then finally, when that was finished, I came back up here to be closer to my family and to be home. And I'm so happy and so fortunate to be here uh, and be closer to my family and to be at KCR.
Right. So tell us again, when did you take the position at KCR?
December 1. So it's not like I keep saying I'm the new executive director. I like how you put it, the newest executive director, and that's how I'm going to say it. Hi, Bailey. Hey, Monk. Hey, Reverend. I see you guys out there.
Yeah, a lot of
I'm
folks
just
tuning
gonna say
in
hi to
today.
people. Okay, Marwan, is that okay?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this isn't a job interview. You already got the job. You're already in there. Um, so tell us what goals do you have for KCR?
You know, these goals sometimes they change as I learn more about the community and um, and funding sources. So I'm going to be straight up. You know, I still don't have a full understanding of community needs and the assets that we have here in Kitsap County. So that's number one for me. Um, Number two, you know, I want to work more closely with the community to build capacity. That can come in a lot of different forms. It can come in projects. It can come in training. It can come in actually doing some grants and figuring out how to go get money. And really, with us not being gatekeepers, us meaning KCR, not being gatekeepers of anything, but being capacity builders and mentoring projects. Um, you know, that includes fundraising and implementing all kinds of projects. I'd like KCR to align ourselves more closely with partners in the local government to address housing. It's a big issue here. And and Marwan, every week something seems to come our way that we have an opportunity to do that. I know you talk to Matt a lot, and Matt is our director, Matt Garrett, our director of housing, and
Mhm.
Jill Stanton. We all kind of want to work together as a team, not just BHA and KCR, but other folks like St. Vincent de Paul, other folks out there that want to solve this problem. But if we do it all together, maybe that's a better approach. So that's why talking about aligning ourselves and collaborating more with our partners. Frankly, some really quick things like Head Start. We have open slots in Head Start. And I like everybody to let us know if they have a young daughter, young son out there that's ready to go to Head Start. And our program is number one. And so we welcome you to apply for those positions. Our WIC program, Women, Infant, and Children, man, it's great nutritional program and great for food. Um, we we estimate that there's at least 2,000 qualified families out there that for some reason haven't applied. We want to encourage
1,000.
2,000,
Wow.
2,000. So we have the funding, we have the resources, and if you know somebody, send them our way, okay? And we will get you hooked up. Um, Internally, you know, I'd like KCR to be more responsive and more representative of the community. It's one thing. The other thing, I kind of heard this a lot. Sometimes it takes us a while to go through a request. We've gotten a lot better, but I'll give you an example. Housing is an example. It's complicated. It's not easy. And there's a wait list and there's all these government hoops that we have to jump through. And we do a great job. My staff, I'm super proud of them. They do a great job. We just want to make sure that we improve because we can always improve. So Marwan, I gave you a whole bunch of things as far as goals. I've only been here 6 months. Has it been 6 months? Yeah, it has been 6 months,
Yeah.
um, and but we've done a lot already, thanks to the staff. But there's a lot more to do.
So I typed those kind of top three things in the
Oh,
chat.
I
So,
see that. I see
what
that.
goals do you have for KCR? Head Start has open slots for everyone. WIC has a great program. There's 2,000 families that have been identified that are qualified for it, and we just need to reach out to them. So, definitely do that. and then being more inclusive. Looks like we have a comment in here from Jessica. Tony, have you have such great goals for KCR. You are already making great connections in your 6 months at KCR. We have great resources and assets in our community. So many organizations like KCR are doing great things. And
Just
Michael also says we have a lot of amazing groups that are ready to take action. They need direction and barrier reduction. I
so
definitely
for Jessica, Jessica's super cool. I know where you work, Jessica. They were like one of our tightest partners with the needs assessment and the survey. And Jessica's teaching me a lot about quantitative analysis. I thought I knew my
oh.
stuff, but apparently I don't. So
Oh,
and
Jessica, I didn't know you had
Michael.
those skills. I might be knocking on your door next.
And Michael, I'm learning about resources. And do you know what? When I find one, I like, I don't want to control that. I want to give it out. I'm like, hey, here's a grant. I'll give you an example. So I'm not going to use names here, at least local names. So I used to partner with White Center Community Development uh, White Center, right? And Seeley is the executive director. They do great work. They have this huge housing projects. Basically, it's about $60 million. They're short like $4 million. I was talking to her last week, and all of a sudden, I found out about a housing equity fund that a pretty large organization is doing. We're going to try to apply for part of that for Manette, but I picked up the phone right away. They serve BIPOC communities in White Center, and it's perfect for them. So I said, hey, here it is. Look at it. I'm like, great. I've already spread the word to a couple people here in Kitsap County, actually. So there's never any competition for funding. In my opinion, there's collaboration and alignment in how we do things.
Nice. I love that. One thing that I can share with you, as you were saying, Matt from your organization comes on every Wednesday with Jill, and Kirsten Jewell comes on once a month. What will be happening now on the third Wednesday? The Housing Coalition it has given us permission to broadcast the first part of the meeting. So all of those 40 plus organizations that kind of give their reports out, that will now be aired live on the conduit. So
That's great.
that's kind of how that work goes. So that's fantastic. So let me ask you
Great.
another question. And this question here, let me just go ahead and type it in the chat there. When you came on board, you interviewed many leaders and many others in the community in regard to equity issues, especially in the Black community. What did you hear, and how do you plan on addressing those issues?
Do you know what? That question is an interesting question, Marwan, because I'm from here, but I didn't know a lot of the history. I still don't. And Marwan, I know every day I learn something. Every day I hear another story. Every day I'm trying to understand the relationships and understand what our role, and specifically what my role should be or can be. So like with any community, we have deep scars and we have issues to solve. I'm not really here to solve those issues because I'm an action guy. It's kind of my background where somebody can say, oh, we want to do this. We want to do this. Okay, great. Show me the plan. Do we have a plan? Well, no. Do we have a budget? Oh, well, okay. Well, do you need help putting that together? Let me help you. What do we need to do? Let's not talk about it. Let's just do it. I'll say this. I was at church yesterday, First
Okay.
African Methodist, and my pastor had this message. And I was sitting there listening to the sermon. I was like, wait a minute. Did I tell him that, or did he copy me? This was in Seattle, right, over in the Cap Hill, and because it's a good message. I don't want to say it's right or wrong, but there are things we can do right now. There are resources to do them, and let's not talk about it. Let's just get them done. Okay, that's my thing. Get action. There's a project. Akuya was talking about this project for a long time now, and And I don't know where it's going to go, but at the very least, we can preserve the African American artifacts here in Kitsap County. And so we've taken steps with Kitsap Bank and with another partner to put that into action. Hopefully, within the next 2 months, everything will be in a climate controlled space. And then we can take the next step and figure out where that project is going to go. Anyway,
Yeah,
my job right now, I think, is to understand things, to facilitate stuff when we can happen and get it done, and then go out and try to capacity build. Marwan, seriously.
that's what I'm talking about. So what's interesting is when I think of KCR, I don't think about KCR preserving Black history locally. So that's you know, how do you come to that as saying, hey, you know what, this is part of the purview of what KCR is doing?
I'll tell you. I'll tell you. And this just goes back to the thing. A couple of you guys are on this call too, and you know what I'm talking about. People come to me at this point with aspirational goals. Oh, this is what we'd like to do. I'm like, oh no, that's too small. Think bigger. Okay. Oh no, come on. What would you really like to do? What do you need to get done right now? And that particular one, just came out of the blue, and it was last on the list, right? And I said, oh, well, that's something we can do right now. I picked up the phone and called Kitsap Bank. We went over there to Bainbridge Island a week ago Friday and said, evaluated the stuff. I talked to Kitsap's son today. Well, we're going to have that conversation later. But we're moving forward because we cannot delay. We thought, I'll give you a real private thing. I thought I can do this myself. And sometimes this is not the way to do it, right? Mm-hmm. So KCR has this huge warehouse over near the port, right? Over near the airport. And I went in there, it's got all this space. I thought, oh, this is great. This is easy. We can do it ourselves. Talking to Jim, my facilities manager, my team, they're like, well, there are mice in there and there are rats and sometimes the roof leaks. So I certainly don't want to be responsible for the damaging of precious stuff when we should be preserving it. And so now we made the decision that, okay, there's another way to do this. So if we collaborate and work together and talk about what the needs are, then we're actually doing something actionable, something that we can measure.
I love that. And, so Michael says, finally, action over meetings. That's refreshing. Monk says, replying to Michael, agreed with the exclamation point. Lucretia, there are groups skilled and equipped to do different things or different aspects of, they're coming in quick. Liberation work, the healing, the education, the planning, the bridge building, the capacity building, etc. Jessica says you're a great communicator. Lucretia says preservation doesn't have to happen in silos or in isolation. Each organization community has a role in preserving history as part of their community's plan, documenting history of that organization and partner relationships, etc.
Marwan, you asked about KCR and no one would ever think that, and maybe that's true. Mm-hmm. But we're Kitsap Community Resources. I mean, just those 3 words are important. And it's not just doing what we do, but we have to evolve too. And we're part of the community. We play a central role in community and with our partners, both service providers like Kitsap Library, but also grassroots organizations within the community.
Well, I mean, that right there definitely sounds like evolution for sure in regards to KCR. So I love that. So tell us about the community needs assessment. I know that's a big deal.
Ooh, do I have more than an hour?
Yeah, you do. You can have as much time as you want. I'll be here all day.
By charter, we're a community action agency, right? And with specific goal to help alleviate poverty. And this is a U.S. government goal started back in 1964, really. And sometimes I think we haven't evolved. You just use that word, Marwan. But the needs assessment and as Cheryl Nunez pointed out, I should be saying asset assessment, right? Because it's important to think of what we have in our community and not just what we need. And as we're late in getting ours done. The Department of Commerce is giving us leeway to do it, to implement it and do it right, do it the way we like to do it. So a few months ago, I got a call from Carl Borg at the United Way. Said, hey, Tony, you guys need to do a needs assessment. Let's do it together. And let's do it like the census, right? Let's approach it like that, right? Let's send trusted messengers out there. Let's do it like that. I'm like, you're on to something. That's a great idea. And then Kitsap Public Health, they were my next stop, talking to Jessica and Siri and everybody over there about this idea. And they recognize, which a lot of groups recognize, that there are demographics that we don't reach. Everybody wants to do surveys, but everybody's got their own way of doing it, and even the way that they've always done them, right? With the same demographic definitions, you know what I'm talking about,
Right.
and the same type of outreach. Here at KCR, we've done Head Start surveys all the time, reaches maybe 500 families. We were trying to get a larger sample than that across the county. So the other thing about that is we wanted to do it from a community-driven approach. So with my lead project manager, Chelsea, we've made just being intentional, going to community organizations and saying, what would you like to see? Is this question good? How does this demographic identify yourself? How do you identify? And in one case, well, I'm not going to get into the dirty details of this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But it's been an interesting exercise and an interesting conversation. We're not going to get it all right the first time, but hopefully our partners will build on it the next cycle. So what we're trying to do, basically, we have about 60 questions and get it out to the community. We'll be at the events partnering with Kids of Mental Health, Kids of Public Health, Kayak, Immigration Assistance, of course ourselves, United Way, Bainbridge Island folks over there in Paulsville. I met with the city of Paulsville last week just to get it out there so we can identify the assets and the needs that we have and then make it better, build on that. Okay, that's in the African American community, the Islamic community, Muslim community, the Hispanic community, the Filipino community. We're trying to do as much as we can, and not just communities of color, but everybody. Marwan.
I like it. I hope you will add gather together, grow together in that needs assessment.
What's that?
I said, I hope you will add gather together, grow together in that needs assessment.
Oh,
We'd love to
well,
be a part of that.
I think it may all be there. And Marwan, actually, I'm going to ask you to come back on to talk about this again, okay?
Okay. Hey, it's an open door over here. So, that's the whole thing, is to provide access and a platform so that people have access to folks like you and information, and they're not getting it second, third, fourth, fifth hand, and get it in a timely manner.
So Marwan, at the end of the day, partnering with Kitsap Public Health, we're going to create a dashboard and share the data. The data is not going to be just with us or with
I like that.
The folks across Kitsap County or the state really will be able to look at that data and understand it and take out what they need from the survey. And again, hopefully we just build on this process and make it better.
Gotcha. Jessica says KCR's community needs assessment is such an exciting initiative. KCR has taken a great approach and have been very inclusive of including partner organizations. Lucretia says data share and clap, clap, clap. Yeah, I'm definitely a geek for data, so I love it. So on the first Wednesday, Matt comes in and shares data on the eviction assistance program. So
Matt is a data king. I was looking at some of the housing data today, trying to understand it because there was so much data there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, his team does great work over there.
So let me ask you that. In regards to the assessment, how will you measure success, and do you have a time goal for KCR and the community to be able to see those changes?
So I've thought a lot about that. It's kind of on my whiteboard too. Lucretia, I need to get a performance assessment. Okay. So, how our organization measures success, I think we'll be making some internal changes and being adaptive and innovative and things that we need to do. Uh, that's a big one for me because sometimes we're stuck. No, a lot of times we're stuck, and we're not alone. A lot of organizations get like this, and community action organizations around the state of Washington are 100% like this. They get siloed. They are stuck in old accounting systems because it's just easier to do that when just a little innovation can go a long way to capturing not just data, but just better ways of doing things. So hopefully if we can implement some internal changes, externally be more adaptive and innovative, then that would be great. The other thing I want to encourage our staff and not just staff, everybody on this call, we're to be strong leaders within your organization and with the community, and also develop strong relationships outside. Always think about that. Always think about how you can mentor somebody else, whether it's somebody younger or older, and take advice. And I try to do it a lot. I try to listen a lot, although sometimes I never say hello and I never say goodbye. I just hang up on people, right? And charge right into business, as you know too. So, but
Yeah, you don't say goodbye. It's like, all right, and it's like click. I'm like, oh, okay.
it's a problem, but that problem will never be solved. Okay. All right. There's too much to do, Marwan.
No, you get used to it after a while. It's like, all right.
Look, my family are like, hello? Hello?
What's great about that actually is a lot of times I'm not by my phone, so I actually appreciate the other person hanging up. So it's
Okay, good.
all good.
There was one thing, Manette has been a project that's simmering for us. The 36 person, 9 unit multifamily housing. I'd love to get that done. And we're, Lucretia, no comments. I'd love to get that done. And I think we're on the right path to finishing it. We have, probably 1.9 million. We need another 2 million. The city of Bremerton approved that project about 6 weeks ago. And now we're going to move forward with some groundbreaking, but I'm in the hunt for more funding, and I'm hopefully going to get there. Also, we don't want to just wait for change to happen. We don't just want to sit around. Again, this is what my pastor, Kerry Anderson from First African Methodist in Seattle, he was saying in the sermon yesterday, as members of the African American community, the Black community, it's because of us the Civil Rights Act was passed. It's because of us things happen, and we have to be advocates of change and not just aspire for change. And that hopefully is what I can help out here with KCR and my little capacity as the executive director. That's what I'd like to see.
It sounds like you're off to a great start. I love that you're able to, quantify, the different things that you're doing, and you definitely have a cheering squad out there, and it's clear that you have been in contact and communication and doing the relationship building. And I know that there would be some that would say that this is definitely a sea change for KCR. So that is fantastic. I encourage everyone that is listening in. One, I want to thank you for tuning in, but also if you have any questions for Tony, get them in now because time goes fast. We got another chat here. Preach, Tony. We don't want to just wait for change. It's because of us. That's quotable.
So don't quote me though, okay? So I'll tell you a couple other things that just one project leads to another, and my job is to try to submit them and to facilitate them, and then help our team mentor everybody else. And a couple of folks are on this call, hopefully are going to be recipients of a project. They know it. It's these transitional housing projects or permanent housing are just mentoring and housing, second chance housing, and we're working on it. And boy, it happened so quickly that even this organization, I'll just call you guys out, GBHU, they're like, what happened? What's going on? What are these questions? And they were put on the spot by one of the higher ups at the county, and everybody's learning, including myself, on how this is done. Getting an innovative project that is BIPOC related and putting it to work. And right now, I'm just going to have to re-emphasize, as a BIPOC organization, there are funding opportunities out there, and we have to connect and go get that money and implement the project, measure them so we can go back and get some more. And I'm not just talking about getting money for money's sake. I'm talking about making an innovative change in how we see things and how we do things.
So let me ask you that, Tony. If I'm an organization and I'm hearing this, what would be the steps to access you? Let's say I've got an idea and I wanted to bring it forward. What's the process? What's the protocol for that?
I'll tell you one thing. First of all, some of you folks can just pick up the phone or send me an email. Oh, can I put my email in the chat?
You surely can.
Oh, can you do it?
Yeah. Just type it in that. You see that private chat there when you said
okay.
earlier?
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Very simple, okay? Ives at KCR.org. And there is one thing that we're going to start right away. In August, I'm looking for 10 representatives from BIPOC organizations or someone that benefits these organizations to participate in a grant writing class. So the class is 8 weeks. We pay for everything. It's over Zoom. It's an hour and a half, 1 day a week for 8 weeks, with the goal at the very end to have a grant ready for submission. So that's the idea. We're paying for it. And it's, again, capacity building. So honestly, I hope that 10 folks will have a grant, but even if it's only 7, just the understanding of how to write a grant is a big deal. So just consider young community-based organizations that aspire to something, and generally we go out and try to find someone else to do it for us, and we just wait. Okay, well, we talk about it, but it's better for us to learn it and to understand the process, and then I'll give you a database of funding available, or just come with a database. Furthermore, there's other ways to do it. You can get a grant writer to help you with history and stuff, so you have a template, right? And then just plug and play with various grants. Anyway, that's the initiative for August. If anybody's interested, I'm making a list. So far, I only have 6 folks on that list. So I got 4 more, and I can repeat this class too, okay? So Marwan, you asked me how folks could come. I think that was, maybe you didn't ask me the question at all, but come to me and let's talk about stuff.
No, yeah, I did. That's what I was saying, is how did they do it? And you were like, okay, the email is one way, pick up the phone is another one. And what would be helpful? You know, there's a lot of, like you said, new small organizations that have really great ideas, but they're really not sure how to implement them. They may not know how to create a budget, what the form needs to look like. So what kind of ducks should they get in a row? Just
it's not even the smaller organizations, it's larger ones too. Man, there are some folks here, you have no idea, and I'm not going to drop any names, but we're at risk of losing things if we don't get it done, right? And always my first question these days is, what's your business plan? Oh, well, okay, no, call me, let's talk about it, okay? That's it.
All right, so I'm having a hard time keeping up with the chat, and to do it together. This is Lucretia. Sometimes we want to do it on our own instead of partnering. Better use of our limited resources. Jessica says KPHD could maybe help with local data sources. Lucretia says great idea, Tony. Much needed to capacity build. Love. Jessica says let me know how KPHD can help support. We have so many dashboard. Jessica also says dashboards and fact sheets. Lucretia says she'd love to share it on her Facebook page, and please share flyer or post.
Okay, I hadn't actually thought about that. And I thought, because I may just get a bunch, but we can have this class twice, right? The first time in August, for 8 weeks, and then after that, and see how it goes.
That's
It's an interesting idea.
You
So
have an employee. As an employee of Tony's, Andrea says, I can attest to the exciting culture shift we are feeling at KCR under his leadership. His enthusiasm and willingness to change is contagious. I love
Andrea, I'm just going to shake my head there because it's tough here. It's tough here. You know it is. Okay. So I'm trying, and I can't get out and talk to everybody all the time. And it is tough here at KCR, man, but help me out. Okay. Help a brother out. Okay. Because there's a lot that our team does. And we have some strong teams here. We have people that believe in the community. And sometimes folks internally feel that they get pushed down, and I'm not that guy. Okay. So I'm not that person. So, Andrea, I'll just say to me, I have an open door policy. So come on in. We're about to have an all staff meeting anyway. So, and give me advice, frankly.
I love it. I love it. Well, let's take a break from this conversation here for a second, and let's shift. Oh, wait, we do have a question.
I want to answer Jessica's question.
So the question here is, Tony, how are your WIC clients affected by infant formula shortage? Is there any way the community can help? That is a fantastic question.
It's a big question, and you guys listen to the news too, and it's not just the shortage of formula; it's how the WIC program is run. Where we can only buy certain things. A WIC client can only buy certain formulas, right? And if you try to buy formula online, you can't do that, or it's very limited. About 2 weeks ago, one of the hospitals wanted to suggest, they called me, and we kind of mobilized to try to find a solution to this. So the head of our WIC program downstairs, Cindy, we talked about this. We weren't sure that it was even legal what was being suggested, but we had folks that were actually going to Europe, doctors, and coming back with formula. And could we do that on a bigger scale? If we had collaboration, one of the local hospitals was willing to pay for the shipping and other things. And so Cindy got on the phone to the Department of Health and said, hey, can we even do this? Is this legal? Because they have their own requirements on the formula and the type of formula. Formula that's made here in the United States is different from the formula that's made in Europe. This is stuff, Marwan, that I just learned, right? So it's a problem. It's still a problem. In the end, we decided, with the Abbott coming online here, hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we decided that solving this problem is too big for us, but we could collaborate if needed to. I have to say though, but our clients are affected just like everybody else. So.
That is a great question. Michael says, I would be willing to partner with anyone that is so passionate about helping the community with budget and accounting info. Reach out to me. Michael, if you want to put your information in the chat there so people can access it, that'd be fantastic. And I would actually love to catch up and have a conversation with you also. So that is fantastic. And this is, again, what this platform is about, right? We're having a conversation with Tony, and through that, people are making connections and building relationship in real time. So I love that.
But budgeting and accounting, it seems so foreign, and a lot of us haven't done it. I used to manage a bunch of money for a pension fund, and it's kind of in my blood, the way I see things. However, doing a budget when you haven't done one in a long time, or doing a nonprofit budget may be different, or even how the county thinks of a budget when they're evaluating a nonprofit project, right? So this is all very interesting, and I hope these next few months are going to be a learning experience for all of us, and I'm excited about this grant writing class, that's for sure. And the budgeting piece of that isn't actually, of course, the budget has to be included, and I have to figure out how to do that. So, Michael, I appreciate this. Okay, so please reach out to me, or Marwan, facilitate that. Okay,
I will do that right now. You see what I got right here in front of me, right? Oh, I'll make sure you get that. I got you. Yeah, go ahead if you want to write it down, but I got you either way.
Great.
So that information is there. I'll leave that up on the screen for a little bit. please
Uh,
keep.
I'll give you an example. Let me give you an example real quick. There was a project that we were working on, and the budget was big. I mean, it was too big because it shouldn't have been, and the administrative costs were higher than everything else in a big way, right? And it was out of whack. I saw it. My fiscal person, Emgard, she saw it, and the county saw it right away. And so I was trying to change it myself, but then I'm very impatient, Marwan. You got to know this about me. Sometimes I'll do it myself, but that's not the right way to do it. The right way to do it is to teach somebody else to do it. Otherwise, you're always going to be doing it, right? So that's what we're trying to get to. Michael, I'm going to call you. All right, this will be great.
So that's perfect. So the soft connection is already there. So now we just Wonder Twin powers activate. I love it. All right. So please keep your questions coming. I want
Oh
to
yeah,
ask
that was
Tony
you.
some.
I already talked to you. I did talk to you.
I want to ask Tony some questions about Juneteenth, but we will interrupt. So if you do put a question in the chat, we'll divert from that, and then we'll just come back and jump in there. But I wanted to ask you, what made you decide to celebrate Juneteenth, or when did you, or have you always, as far as you can recall?
I haven't always. And this will be my first Juneteenth here in Kitsap County, that's for sure. Washington is an odd state anyway, Marwan. Uh, um, and, to be black here is not like being black in California, in the Bay Area where I've spent a lot of time, and in Sacramento as well, where, the Juneteenth celebration, it didn't start full and fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even the holiday was controversial. I mean, if you think of the MLK holiday, where now we take it for granted, and before some of the states would not adopt it, right? And now, oh, it's MLK holiday. Okay, what does that mean? And Juneteenth, even understanding what Juneteenth is and what it means. In fact, Marwan, I have to confess, history, the stuff that we need to learn, including Juneteenth, is not taught. You actually have to go out and investigate and figure it out yourself, right?
You do,
So
you do.
sad but true.
Yeah.
But I haven't always celebrated Juneteenth. It's really been recently, and part of that was I was outside of the country for a good 15 years almost, right? And things were different there.
Well, you know what? You and I will both celebrate Juneteenth for the first time this year in this county.
Yes,
So,
sir. We're partnering with Bremerton Housing Authority, and we're going to have a booth together, and it's going to be great. I love those guys over
nice.
there. I love Jill. I love Tim. Their whole team. I'll just give props to BHA. Jill is innovative in her own right, and she thinks outside of the box, right? And she doesn't stick by. I won't say that. Stick by the rules all the time. She finds a way to get things done, and it's exciting to have a partner like them, like them.
Absolutely. All right, so we have a couple questions.
Marwan, tell me things when I shouldn't say things. All right.
All right, I'll try not to let you go too far down the alley. So Jessica asked, Tony, what is the best piece of leadership advice you've ever received, and how has it affected your work? What a question.
Wow. You know, I've had a couple of mentors. I've had three during my life, and two of them are dead, and then one of them, he's like my father. He's 90. I was with him this weekend, and he was telling me, we talk about my job and other things. His name is Dr. Julius Debro. He was a UW professor. He was one of 4 Black African American colonels in the Army, and I have just tremendous respect and love for him. But this weekend, he just wanted to reiterate a point with me, how life is very short, and the impact that you make on people's lives are more important than uh, you know, chasing money all the time. And I had uh, um, learned that lesson a couple of times, and recently I just had to be reminded of that. And so what we do here as leaders are important, and it's important to mentor and to listen and to take advice. But you know, I'm not always a good boss, Jessica, because sometimes I am impatient. But if for myself, if I could just recognize that we can all do this together, and that's how it should be done, and that's a common vision, maybe not exactly in total agreement. Maybe we can solve a bigger problem. So when I'm gone, there's some sustainability, and
Oh,
I try to believe that. Don't
she,
cry, Marwan. Don't start crying.
she, she also asked, what made you want to work for KCR?
That's a funny question, and I'm going to just be brutally honest. Um, so for a couple of years, I worked for the census. I ran Kitsap County for a while, right? I ran 8 counties and then South King County. And so I should have known who KCR was. I had no idea who KCR was, right? But I was recommended this job. And so I started going down the process and learning about KCR. Jessica, I'm going to be honest. I thought I was going to be leaving the country again. And I thought I was taking another job. And KCR came along, and going through the process, which was long and arduous, but well worth it. And I said I was going to stay here. And do you know what? I was talking to Jason at the library, and we were talking about the same thing. How you're here, you're supposed to be here. That's how he feels coming from Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel like I'm supposed to be here. I grew up here, right? And here I am again after being away for so long. And now all of this is happening. All these partnerships, and I'm not talking about people on this call. I'm talking about people with money and organizations that are coming. How can we help? What needs to happen in KCR? And my job is just to connect people with those resources, not just say, this is give it to me. Nope, nope, nope. I pick up the phone, and few folks already know that, and say, hey, call this person. They're looking for projects, right? Right up your alley. So
You know, what's impressive, Tony, is most people in the interview don't say, so, you know, why did you want to come work at KCR? I didn't even know who you guys were.
I'm not sure that I actually said that in the first interview, or the second, or the third, or the fourth one. Maybe by the 7th one I said it. But man, I'm glad I made it through the process. And again, we have work to do, and we have a possibility of doing something cool, right?
So. Yeah, facts. Well, and you're already doing cool things, so I think that's fantastic. As people type other questions in the chat, how do you believe, just in your 6 months, that Juneteenth will be acknowledged in this community?
Well, I know the booths are already taken. They're sold out, right? Because someone was asking me about it today, and good thing we're partnering with BHA, because you can't get a booth right now. Okay, so I know that it's going to be well attended, and we're going to be there. So honestly, folks, these last 3 years have been rough. We all know it, and people want to get out, number one, but people want to be with community as well. And I'm excited. I can't wait.
Did you ever think that it would be a nationally recognized holiday?
No. And I can put a period behind that statement, because I saw how long it took for MLK. to be recognized. And if perhaps there was a different uh, administration right now, it still wouldn't be a nationally recognized holiday. So,
I'm gonna combine these two questions together. How do you think it will be taught in the school systems now that it is nationally recognized holiday? And well, no, I'll just leave that one there.
I'm not, well, I was about to say I'm not an educator, but I have taught classes before. The education in our schools are so politicized right now. It's so unfortunate. But I did go to South. I remember our history class, and we learned nothing about things, right? And I would hope that it's not going to happen overnight, but that education will evolve where we're not just limiting to our children what is taught and what is allowed to be taught in schools, because this is American history, and we are all Americans, and that's the truth.
Jessica, don't apologize for questions. They're all great. I'm going to ask Tony this one, and then I'm going to get to yours because he mentioned kids. So, what do you want your children or other children to take away from Juneteenth?
Pride and understanding what it is and how we got here, and honestly, what folks in the past have done to get us to this point. Right now, sometimes it feels like the clock is being turned back, and it's important for youth to understand what this is. Just like the message of Pastor Kerry yesterday, we are advocates of the every person, every community have advocates, especially the youth here, and it is so important to understand the history, and the takeaway is, how do we go forward? And not
Absolutely.
just to celebrate it just because it's a holiday.
Facts. Facts. 100% there. All right. Jessica says she doesn't need to apologize. She has one more. Maybe. What does the word community mean to you, Tony?
Jessica, just pick up the phone and call me, all right? You have my phone number. You know, it's a great word. I use the word all the time, almost like I throw it around all the time because I believe in it. Um, when I was in Honduras, it was my first experience working within 10 different communities, but combining it all together. Each of the communities had their own way of thinking things, they had their own culture. And for me, how it happened was the scholarship program that we combining kids from all of those communities, and that was the start. And each of those kids had to go back and do a community project and present it, and then it became a focal point of how we did projects. And those are the businesses that we started, right down to the conservation of the mangroves and the fisheries that were there. And I believe that that motto is transferable, and communities are all of us. They're our infrastructure. It's our history, our people, and it's all part of it. That's why this idea of saying community needs assessment or community asset assessment, just trying to put your head around what that means, is important in itself. I don't know that that answers your question, Jessica, but you know how I feel. Community is where we are at right now, and it's where I'm at. So.
Absolutely. I wanted to ask, will KCR have a role in acknowledging Juneteenth? You talked about having a booth there.
Do you know what? It's funny you should say that, because I've asked myself that question too. So Marwan, help me out. I need somebody to actually tell me how to do this. I've never been in a position where I say, KCR, put it out on the website. I have not done that before, right? And not just Juneteenth, Pride, or any of the other big things that come along that we should acknowledge, that I acknowledge all the time. But as an organization, how do we do that? Marwan, are you guys, give me some advice. Lucretia, tell me what to do, because I don't know.
You can have some of the originators like TC Curry or JD Sweet come in and talk about the history and getting it started, for your employees. And yeah, I think that'd be one way. They're just such a deep reservoir of history and Avocation. I got a chance to interview them for the documentary for Juneteenth, and actually changed my mind on it. I didn't celebrate Juneteenth. This would be my first year, and I had some other thoughts and feelings about that. And having the conversation with JD Sweet actually changed my mind in an interview while I was having a conversation.
Marwan, have you been over to the Bremerton History Museum? Roosevelt Smith has his exhibit over there.
Yes, he's been on
It's,
the conduit a few times. Yeah,
it's
I
super
did.
cool.
Yeah, yeah. It was one of my first live interviews. I actually took a
Oh,
tour live and showed his museum on the conduit for people that
oh,
couldn't make it down to the exhibit. Yes, it is fascinating.
that's great. That's great. He's a cool guy.
Yeah, he really is for sure. Yeah, Roosevelt Smith would be another one. Akuye. There's so much of our history here, and one of my great concerns is as they age, is that going to get lost? So
Akuye, he didn't say you were old just now, okay? He didn't say that, all right? I didn't hear that. That's not what I heard. But that's the importance of preserving it until we figure it out, okay? Instead of just leaving it there. That's the importance of it, okay?
yeah, absolutely,
You
absolutely.
should see. I was going through some of the boxes. I saw this. It was like 1932, 1933, NAACP minutes of a meeting in a ledger with this beautiful cursive handwriting. It was just gorgeous and everything that you don't think about as far as history, right?
Mhm.
Here it is. We need to make sure that this doesn't get lost.
Absolutely. Well, you've answered all of my questions. I so tremendously appreciate you. I'll give a couple seconds for folks to type in any last questions that you have for Tony. Clearly, this isn't going to be his last time on, as he's going to talk to us about the needs assessment and other things that are happening with KCR. But Tony, what would you like to leave us with? Anything that I forgot to ask you that you wanted to kind of bring up and talk about? Words of encouragement, or engagement that you want to leave us with?
Marwan, remember when we were talking about that? I was like, man, an hour is a long time. Are you sure we're going to be able to talk an hour?
I told you it's going to be easy.
um, look, I, as far as projects go, call me and let's get to work. As far as any of the politics, oh, it's so hard, especially in the Black community, and I hate it, and I'm just trying to understand it. So all I can do is do my job, do what I do, and let's measure, show some results, measure them, and go get some, go work, prove what we need to do. All right. And I encourage everybody, pick up the phone and call me. You know, that's what I do. You know what? I just pick up the phone and call and introduce myself or walk into people's offices. Okay. I appreciate you, Marwan. I really do.
No, back at you. I loved, and I didn't know all the things that you were doing, so it's
You don't know
great.
half of them yet. You don't, because you don't.
I
I didn't
can't wait
talk
to learn
about them.
about them. I can't wait to learn about them. For sure. So, again,
Hey, the more help we have with the needs assessment, the asset assessment, the better it will be, and the better we can improve upon it the next time. Okay.
we'll let the conduit and G2 know how we can be of service. Michael says, great interview. Welcome to the community. Again, I want to thank all of our guests for joining us today. Let me put Tony's email back up there again, just in case someone is just tuning in and you want it. Such an active chat today. Super excited about that. And here it is.
And don't forget the BIPOC grant thing. Okay. I'm going to say that one more time. August 1 is when we want to start that. And there's only 10 spots. All right. So.
And again, if Tony does send a flyer, sounds like that you've got multiple requests already. I will continue to promote that.
Okay,
so you'll probably
thank
hear
you so
about
much.
that definitely on Wednesdays when KCR is on for our weekly show.
Okay.
Tony's email is aives@kcr.org. Super easy and simple. And so I hope everyone enjoys their day. Tomorrow at 3 p.m., we will have Kitsap Regional Library on. So, we have our awesome librarian, Pierre Chari, coming on. And they've got big things that just launched in the beginning of June. So you don't want to miss that. And then again, On Wednesday at 12 p.m., we have Tipping Points and Puzzle Pieces with Resilient Ecosystems. And then at 3 o'clock, we have our community housing conversation with KCR's own Matt Garrett. We'll have Jill Stanton, the executive director of Bremerton Housing Authority, Katie Sharp, communications director, and we may have some others actually. Actually, we are going to have some others because we're going to have a special conversation. It's our deep dive, which is the second Wednesday. So stay tuned for that, and I will continue to update. But for Tony Ives, I am Marwan Cameron. This is The Conduit. Thank you so much for joining
Thanks,
us.
everybody.
Enjoy your day, everyone.